Rapidly approaching a milestone in our country, and it's not a good one. We're rapidly approaching $30 trillion in debt. We're accumulating debt like we never have at any time in our history. We're actually accumulating debt at the rate of over $2 million per minute. Now, some say deficits don't matter. Some on the left say they have this new monetary theory, we can just print it all up, you can all have free stuff, there'll be manna from heaven, and nothing could go wrong. We're just going to give you money. If not $1,400 checks a month or a year, why don't we give you monthly checks? And that's part of the new plans. The new plans of the $3.5 trillion that we're facing down at this point, that'll all be borrowed, is to give people free money, to give people free this, free that. But I think people are smarter than that. I think people know that ultimately you don't get anything in life without hard work. You don't get anything in life really for free. Isn't there some kind of ramification to so much borrowed money? When someone comes to you and says, or they call you on the phone and they say, here's $1,000, all you got to do is sign up for this. Most people immediately recoil and they say, well, that might be a scam. Somebody's going to be ripping me off to say that. Well, it's sort of the bait and switch of the politics we face now. People are saying, we're going to give you free college, free cars, free cell phones, free this, free that. Everything in life will be free. You won't have to work anymore. The problem is there are ramifications. Money doesn't grow on trees. The money's got to come from somewhere. So either we borrow it, we become more indebted to foreign countries, we tax people for it, or ultimately the way we fix a lot of our deficit problems is we simply print the money. And so when the Federal Reserve prints the money, as we increase the money supply, the money that we have becomes worth less and less. It loses its purchasing power. This is the insidious tax of inflation. And the interesting thing about it is inflation is a regressive tax. It doesn't affect everyone the same. In fact, the tax of inflation actually affects the working class, the people of lower incomes, and those on fixed incomes and pension, retirees. It affects them much worse because they don't have the ability for their income to go up. So right now we're facing 5% inflation because of the massive borrowing that really both parties instituted in the last year. They decided that the result to the pandemic would be to close everything down, destroy the economy, and then give everyone free money. And to a large extent, both parties actually did this last year. Now this year, the decision has been made by Republicans to say, whew, this is so much, we got to stop. We got to get people back to work and let the economy recover. So it's primarily been Democrats this year. But both parties have a certain responsibility to this, at least some members of both parties. But as the inflation occurs, and this effect is being transmitted to the economy, you find that those who suffer are those who cannot raise their income, those who have fixed income or low income. One of the things you see here is that if we have 5% inflation, what does that mean? You say, well, I don't know, it means I lose my purchasing power by 5% next year. But what if it happens year in, year out for a decade and you've lost 50% of your purchasing power? It means to make up for that you really have to have a 50% increase in your wages. So will wages keep up with inflation? The dirty little secret is that in some ways wages will rise, but maybe they rise an equivalent amount or a little bit less, and you say a decade later, I'm not any better off. And there become people mired and more dependent on government as government gets larger and larger, and they think they're getting free stuff, but it's not really free. The allure of something for nothing. This is the allure of socialism. This is a false allure. It's something that you're going to be able to get something and you're not going to have to pay for it.